Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to start. The 40th plenary meeting of the General Assembly is called to order. The General Assembly will resume consideration of sub-item D of Agenda Item 115 entitled Election of Members of the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law. The 30 outgoing member states are as follows: Algeria, Belgium, Cameroon, Canada, China, Cote d'Ivoire, Croatia, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Finland, France, Germany, Ghana, Honduras, Hungary, Indonesia, Japan, Malaysia, Mali, Mexico, Peru, Republic of Korea, Russian Federation, Singapore, South Africa, Switzerland, Ukraine, United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Vietnam, and Zimbabwe. These member states are eligible for immediate re-election. Members will recall that the Assembly, by its Resolution 76/109 of 9 December 2021, decided to increase the membership of the Commission from 60 to 70 states. Accordingly, the number of seats to be filled by each regional group in this election is as follows. For the African states, 8 seats. For the Asia-Pacific states, 8 seats. For the Eastern European states, 5 seats. For the Latin American and Caribbean states, 6 seats. For the Western European and other states, 8 seats. The General Assembly will now proceed to the election to replace those members whose term of office will expire on 6 July 2025, as well as to elect 5 additional members pursuant to Resolution 76/109. In accordance with Rule 92 of the Rules of Procedure, the election shall be held by secret ballot. I should like to recall, however, paragraph 16 of Decision 34/401, whereby the practice of dispensing with the secret ballot for elections to subsidiary organs when the number of candidates corresponds to the number of seats to be filled should become standard, unless a delegation specifically requests a vote on a given election. In view of the requests by the delegations of Ukraine and the Russian Federation at the 38th plenary meeting held on 13 November 2024, the Assembly will thus proceed to this election by secret ballot. In accordance with Resolution 76/109, membership in the Commission consists of 70 member states elected by the General Assembly for a term of 6 years. The following states will continue to be members of the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law: Afghanistan, Argentina, Armenia, Australia, Austria, Belarus, Brazil, Bulgaria, Chile, Colombia, Czechia, Democratic Republic of Congo, Greece, India, Iraq, Islamic Republic of Iran, Israel, Italy, Kenya, Kuwait, Malawi, Mauritius, Morocco, Nigeria, Panama, Poland, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, Spain, Thailand, Turkey, Turkmenistan, Uganda, United States of America, and Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. The names of these states, therefore, should not appear on the ballot papers. This election will be held in accordance with the relevant rules of procedure of the General Assembly on Elections. In this regard, Rule 94 shall be applied. Consistent with the practice of the General Assembly, if more than the required number of member states have obtained the votes of the majority of the members of the Assembly present and voting on the same ballot, those member states which have obtained the largest number of votes above the required majority will be considered as elected up to the number of seats to be filled. Also consistent with past practice, if, due to a tie vote, it becomes necessary to determine a candidate or candidates to be elected or that will proceed to the next round of restricted balloting, there will be a special restricted ballot limited to those candidates that have obtained an equal number of votes. May I take it that the General Assembly agrees with the proposed way forward? It is so decided. With regard to candidates, I should like to inform members of the following. For the 8 seats from among the African states, 8 candidates have been communicated, namely Burundi, Congo, Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, Mauritania, Sierra Leone, South Africa, and Zambia. Burundi, Congo, Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Zambia have been endorsed by the group. For the 8 seats from among the Asia-Pacific states, the following 8 endorsed candidates have been communicated, namely China, Japan, Malaysia, Philippines, Republic of Korea, Singapore, Sri Lanka, and Vietnam. For the 5 seats from among the Eastern European states, the following 2 candidates have been communicated, namely Hungary and Russian Federation. For the 6 seats from among the Latin American and Caribbean states, the following 6 candidates have been communicated, namely Plurinational State of Bolivia, Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Mexico, Peru, and Uruguay. Peru has been endorsed by the group. For the 8 seats from among the Western European and other states, the following 7 endorsed candidates have been communicated, namely Belgium, Canada, France, Germany, Sweden, Switzerland, and United Kingdom of Britain and Northern Ireland. Before we begin the voting process, I should like to remind members that pursuant to Rule 88 of the Rules of Procedure of the General Assembly, no representative shall interrupt the voting except on a point of order on the actual conduct of the voting. Any announcements, including those concerning withdrawals or candidatures, should therefore be made prior to the commencement of the voting process, that is to say, before the announcement of the beginning of the voting process. In addition, ballot papers will only be used to the delegates seated directly behind the country's nameplate We shall now begin the voting process. Ballot papers marked A, B, C, D, and E will now be distributed, and the voting has thus begun. In accordance with Resolution 71, Slide 323 of 8th September 2017, the names of the states that have been communicated to the Secretariat at least 48 hours prior to the election today, have been printed on the ballot papers for each of the regional groups. Also, additional blank lines corresponding to the number of vacant seats to be filled for each of the regional groups have been provided on the ballot papers for inscribing other names if desirable. I request representatives to use only those ballot papers that have been distributed and to put an X in the boxes next to the names whom they wish to vote for, and or write other eligible names on the blank lines. If the box next to the name of a state is checked, the name of that state does not have to be repeated on the blank line. The total number of checked boxes and or handwritten names should not exceed the number of vacancies to be filled as indicated on the ballot paper. A ballot paper will be declared invalid if it contains more names of eligible member states from the relevant region than the number of seats allocated to it. Accordingly, for the ballot papers marked A for African states, the total number of checked boxes and or handwritten names should not exceed 8. For the ballot papers marked B for Asia Pacific states, the total number of checked boxes and or handwritten names should not exceed 8. For the ballot papers marked C for Eastern European states, the total number of checked boxes and or handwritten names should not exceed 5. For the ballot papers marked D for Latin American and Caribbean states, the total number of checked boxes and or handwritten names should not exceed 6. And for the ballot papers marked E for Western European and other states, the total number of checked boxes and or handwritten names should not exceed 8. A ballot paper will be declared invalid if none of the names of the member states on that ballot paper for which votes were cast belongs to the relevant region, or if all the votes on the ballot are for member states that are not eligible for election. If a ballot paper for a region contains one of the following, the ballot remains valid, but the votes for those member states will not be counted. Member states that do not belong to the region concerned, or member states that continue to be members of the Commission. A blank ballot paper will be considered an abstention. If a ballot paper contains any notation other than votes in favor of eligible member states, those notations will be disregarded.